This is Brindlewood Bay, Part 3. Opal, you find yourself in a large, dark chamber. It is all, I think, wait, did we lose Liam? I feel like we lost Liam. Maybe. I don't know. Liam, are you still there? Okay, one more try. Opal, you find yourself in a large, dark chamber. It is like the chamber you've been in your previous dreams. There is a shaft of light illuminating a dais in the center of the chamber. Except this time in the chamber, on the dais, is June Willoughby in her poodle skirt. And she's she's sitting on the dais, and like she's giving birth.
Oh.
And she's going through the heaving and screaming motions of giving birth. And the king with the bloody willow face cage crown steps out of the shadows into the shaft of light and beckons you forward, Opal. Do you go forward?
Where is he in relation to the dais?
He's just right next to it. He's standing right next to June.
Yeah. I'm going to go forward, but I'm kind of going towards June to try and help her more so than directly towards the king.
June.
Because I didn't see the dramatic post-credit scene where she murdered a guy.
No, you did not. June is on the dais and she has a sweat broken out and she's still in her sock hop costume, of course. And she's screaming in pain and she says, I can feel it. It's coming. It's coming. And you sense that she very much wants you to reach up under the poodle skirt to help midwife the baby, to take the baby out. Do you do that?
Yeah, I'm under a terribly false assumption that she's also kind of drawn into here, by forces beyond her control.
As you reach your hands underneath the layers of crinoline and you feel the baby coming. It is a wetness and oiliness. The baby reaches back at you. You can feel it grabbing back. But as it does so, it coils its arm around your arm, tentacle-like. And June, the pains of labor melt from her face and she looks at you and she says, it's almost time. And then the dream ends. Let's have our opening credits scene, cozy vignettes. And if you have a shadow in the garden marked, you must also narrate how something strange and dark is going on in the background. Whoever wants to start, take it away.
Opal gets up and the cat that she adopted since our last meeting from the very rich victims of our previous case, is yowling at the door. She sort of hobbles down and opens the door, and the cat sprints out into the backyard, and she follows after to see the cat sort of like curling up to another cat that appear. She's not quite sure how this cat got here, but it's nursing a bunch of kittens. It seems like these two are mates, and Opal sort of gives them a little smile, not really noticing that the limbs of one of the cats are too long and a little wet and oily, wrapping around the tail of the other cat. And Opal's just smiling, completely oblivious to all of this.
Thank you.
Did you have one, David?
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
So it's a it's a scene of Kate, and she's doing a workshop at the local library, showing people how to use myhistory.com, and she's excited about all the new historical documents that that people have access to, and she's showing her own ancestor that links her to the Daughters of the American Revolution, Captain Kincaid. She's saying, "Oh, I've never seen these before. Look at these. Look at this." And then she pulls up a report where Captain Kincaid was found, cause of death, multiple stab wounds at Fort Willoughby, right outside of Fort Willoughby. He's got multiple stab wounds. And she kind of goes blank.
And I think we get a familiar scene of Millie setting up easel. I think today she's in sort of one of the fields outside of Brindlewood Bay. There's kind of, forest in the background, and we sort of see her, painting away. And as we're sort of getting close, we just see her kind of putting some finishing touches to some of the shadows between the trees in the forest behind. And we just see, as she's sort of starting to clean up her brushes, we just see a couple of what look like reflective animal eyes open up in the painting of the shadows in the forest.
Nice. So I promised you all a chance to do the cozy move at some point, and I think the way I will make space for that is I'll present the mystery, and the mystery is one that basically I'll make it to where the police disperse you and you can all follow up on the mystery later and come back to it or whatever as you wish, but go do cozy move scenes in the meantime if you wish. But in any case, you'll be able to move freely around. It's not a closed room mystery. And that mystery is The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soulless, written by none other than our own David Morrison on the call. The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soulless. The Coles, Ava and Phoenix, are a couple newly arrived in Brindlewood Bay. They abandoned their vague but presumably lucrative careers in New York to move to your quaint seaside town. They have renovated an old farmhouse. It used to be called Stockton Farm. They've renovated this old farmhouse on this farm on the edge of town, reopening it as Snowdrop House, Brindlewood Bay's newest bed and breakfast. You all are visiting Snowdrop House to sample what the Coles boast is the finest afternoon tea in all of Brindlewood Bay. It is probably also the only afternoon tea in Brindlewood Bay because it's not a thing we do here. And tea is being served in the parlor. Let's paint the scene. A fire crackles cheerfully in the hearth, heating the room to a drowsy fug. The room has been finished furnished, sorry, in fussy Victorian gentility. But what in the room jars with this image or hints at the less genteel past of the house?
I think that in one of the big beams of the ceiling, it has those sort of where the beams have like the wooden pegs sticking out either side, and there are a couple of like butcher's hooks hanging down from them. Rusty butcher's hooks, probably. Yeah, probably rust.
I'm going to go with there's some wallpaper that's relatively new. That's got a nice print, probably a floral print. But there's a place where the glue didn't dry, and you can see the bare wall behind the wallpaper, and you can see that it's got like graffiti, like it's got writing on it where somebody was just wrote on the wall.
I'm going to say that outside there is just one single protester who has very strong ideas about the kind of place this is and how good, honest folks are being lured into it under false pretenses. And people aren't really paying them much mind, but they are prancing around with a lot of moralistic authority.
To be clear, I'm curious what their moral objection is to a bed and breakfast. What is their particular complaint? Is it just because like the Coles swept in and bought the property from the former landowner, or what?
It's less that the bed and breakfast itself, and more so making a place that is not a place for respectable people to go into a bed and breakfast, just seeing it as trying to pull reputational wool over people's eyes. There's a reason there's only one of them.
Oh, interesting. I'm still just out of character. I'm still a little confused. So like
it's possible I misunderstood the nature of the past.
So a bed and breakfast. So it was a farm. No, and now it's been renovated. Yeah, to be.
It was a farm. Okay, I misunderstood the words like it's like sort of less the sort of implications about its past.
Oh no. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. So to be clear, it was a farm that was purchased by the Coles, and they have redone the farmhouse to be a bed and breakfast, just a little hotel where people come and stay, like a hotel. There's a million of those in Brindlewood Bay, but this one boasts afternoon tea like in a Victorian style, and the furnishings are very like genteel and fancy. And again, the question is just like, what suggests that there's something else going on here?
I kind of like the protest of gentrification. Like this is supposed to be a working farm.
Yeah, gentrification. I could definitely. That's what I thought maybe you were going for. Like it was like they were upset about like. Yeah, like it's a traditional community landmark being repurposed for commercial use. Yeah,
that does make more sense now that I have a better picture of.
I like it though. We'll go with that. It actually fits nicely with one of the future suspects. So good. Okay, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page with that. So Letitia Dawes is an old friend of yours, Kate. She's actually in town, and she's the one who invited you here, and Millie and Opal have just tagged along, basically. Letitia Dawes is a former investigative journalist, and she now writes travel and entertainment pieces as a freelancer to fund her retirement. And so presumably that's what she's here in Brindlewood Bay to do. But a question for you, Letitia, or Kate rather. Kate, in her younger years, Letitia was a hard-hitting, hard-living journalist. You were close friends back in the day, though life eventually drew you apart. what was the big story you helped her break, and how did you raise hell together that might surprise people who know you now?
It was about the airline industry, because I was an art director for Sprint Airlines, and it was probably something about the airline was, and I got this from my husband, that the airline was like really putting pilots through too much pressure, where they were not getting any like layover time, and they were just flying, and it was unsafe. And I think I probably leaked that information to Letitia.
Nice. And so the second part of the question is, how did you raise hell together in a way that might surprise Millie and Opal?
After the article was published, we went out and had a big, because it was pretty critically acclaimed, and so we to celebrate, we went out and it just got like hammered, and my husband had to come probably bail me out of jail, where we were arrested for public disorderly conduct. That's how I see it playing out.
So I think, Kate, you're obviously at a table with Letitia, enjoying afternoon tea, which is kind of like in this context at least, is mostly just a light lunch with pastries and things. And there are other people in there as well. Millie and Opal, are you at the same table with Letitia and Kate, or have you gotten a table by yourselves somewhere else in the parlor?
I'm happy to take the lead from Kate on that. I'm more than happy to be off on a separate table, but if you think Kate would have invited us to,
I would,
meet Letitia.
definitely. Yeah, I would want you guys to meet Letitia.
Okay,
You
so
don't want to intrude on your time with your old friend, dear.
No, because I might. Maybe we can pitch an idea to her.
yeah.
Or story.
Well, so she's the
Highest murder rates in the world. The
Right,
secrets of Brindlewood Bay.
She says, well, that would be a rather ghoulish approach. Maybe for an upcoming Halloween edition, we can do a story like that. No, I'm just here in town, sampling, places like this, and checking out local businesses. I think, well, your local tourism board has expressed an interest in wanting to maybe help Brindlewood Bay's image as of late move on a bit. I will mention it's been a couple of weeks since the events of All Hallows Scream, just so you know that. And she says, but while I have you, people are starting to talk about these murders that the three of you, and I guess another friend of yours, have been helping the local authorities with. That's, well, let's just say, Kate, I'm certainly not surprised to hear you involved in something like that, or just surprised to hear that you're involved in something like that.
Well, a lot of it just kind of fell into our laps, because we have an interest. We have a murder mystery book club, and so it kind of started with us. Our local sheriff was pretty inept, and or former. I mean, he's deceased now, but he was pretty inept, and it was not that difficult for us to put things together as we sat around talking about our latest mystery novels.
Mm. At this point, I will tell you that the Coles, Phoenix and Ava, they are sort of watching over the parlor. Ava is porcelain perfect. She's wearing a very beautiful kind of Dior silhouette gown, that flares out, very 1940s, right? Black with a little pristine white apron over it. And she's sort of watching everything, making sure everything is kind of going okay. Phoenix is a little bit more casual, and he's wearing a sort of pseudo Dickensian kind of jacket and cravat, and he's going around kind of making sure everyone's doing okay, making sure everyone's enjoying everything. He's clearly the much more like friendly, sociable of the two. Outside, there are a group of people who are chanting things, or there's just a small group of people. They're by the window and they're, chanting things like, preserve our heritage, preserve our historical sites, right? And there's one sign that says, go back to New York, right? And Ava just gracefully swans over to the window and closes the curtains so you cannot see them anymore. And let's see, who else do we have in the parlor? There is a young man who seems to be like waiting table and waiting on people. You know him, he's local. His name is Percy Underwood. Local boy. He is presently dressed in a sort of like really, really nice, like white Oxford apron, black slacks, like waiter sort of get up. And you can see him like kind of, buzzing about between tables. There is a young woman who you don't know. She is all dressed all in black, black eyeliner, and hunched over some sort of recording device, muttering into it at a table. There is the elderly Mrs. Carfax, who you do know. She lived on Stockton Farm when it was a farm, and apparently she came with the new purchase agreement because she's still here at Snowdrop House. She's very old. As elderly as all the three of you are, she's even older. And she is sitting in the corner at her own little table playing checkers by herself. She occasionally bellows out, "King me!" And that is a thing going on over there.
Pardon, quick question.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Wait, are you asking in character or out of character?
I mean, in character, but also just from my own observations, does it seem like she's just moving pieces on both sides?
She is indeed, yes.
Right.
She is playing herself.
All right.
There is a man at another table. He's also from out of town, sort of looks like a businessman. He's got a, very like nice Italian suit and a Bluetooth headset. And you can hear him saying, "Oh yeah, like shit tons of cultural value. Yeah. Well, you just bulldoze some of that stuff on the boardwalk and just raise condos. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, I think it's a place where big opportunities here, Yeah, great. And as Percy sets down a teacup, his thumb is on the rim of the teacup, and the guy in the headset says, if I wanted something that had touched your thumb, I'd drink from the inside of your ear. Take that back, please." And Percy takes the teacup and goes away. And so things are going swimmingly. The tea is fine. Phoenix, Cole comes up to you all and says, "Ladies, how are you enjoying everything? Are the scones delicious?"
They're actually rather good, which is surprising. The one thing that I've never quite got used to is the what you Americans think of as a scone, but these are indeed rather good. And she will grin at him.
He's like, "Well, as one of our, seeing as how you are one of our cousins from across the pond, I will take that as a tremendous compliment, madam." And Opal, you will notice that at the window, I think you are all sitting close to a big bank of bay windows, the ones that Ava just closed the curtains of. You will notice that there is an eye staring from outside through the gap in the curtains, and you just see the eye roaming around looking at what's going on. What do you do? That was for Opal.
Opal is going to just sort of like sort of first looks past the eye, has a mid eye, and then looks back, just like can't quite be sure, rubs her contacts and just stands up with her tea, starts hobbling over, staring directly at the eye, just getting closer and closer and closer.
You get a better look of who it is. It is, in fact, old Abraham Stockton, very gruff looking, wearing farmer's overalls, his red hair kind of very windswept. Everyone knows that he's been angry ever since the Coles swept in and bought up his property and changed it into this bed and breakfast. And he's clearly there with the protesters. He probably is the person who rallied these protesters outside of the establishment, because this is a strangely specific protest for a place that is all about exploiting its historic, it's a historical and cultural value. So in any case, Abraham Stockton is out there clearly rabble-rousing and causing trouble. Ava swans over and closes the last few inches of the curtain. And she points her finger to your scone and tea to indicate you should go back to your table and swans away.
Opal sort of like waits for her to get a little bit away and then pulls the curtain to one side with one finger and looks out for Mr. Stockton.
Indeed. He's out there just glowering.
Opal sees his hostile expression and just mouths sorry and shuts the curtain as quickly as possible.
Phoenix says, continuing on, Millie, would you like for me to let the pastry chef know that you enjoyed the scones, madam?
Oh, that would be lovely. Yes, please do. Please do.
He says, give me one moment. I'll go let him know. And he goes to the back. And a few moments later, Percy Underwood comes out of the kitchen. He is now dressed in a sort of like chef's outfit with a tall white hat and a white coat. And he says, Ms. Ross, I heard you had a compliment about the scones.
Yes, they were delicious. Thank you very much, dear. But why aren't you sweet yourself? I could just cover you in clotted cream and gobble you up.
He's like, that's, he says, top of the morning to you, governor. And he like walks off and goes back into the kitchen nervously. Kate. Letitia leans forward and says, Kate, that young woman over there, the one all in black, I've heard her say the words Murder Mavens into her little recording device several times now.
Yeah, so we've been warned that that people are starting to do podcasts, and that's probably what that is. That our book club's called the Murder Mavens.
She's looking over here right now. I think she wants you to come over. She's looking very expectant.
Should we all go and say, hey, we're the Murder Mavens? What do you think, ladies?
Well, it never hurts to keep the fans happy, I suppose.
Nobody's ever asked for an autograph. This might be it. So if we approach the young woman. Are you coming, Opal?
People have told me I have a face for radio.
So I say to the young woman, excuse me, but we couldn't help but overhear that you were talking about Murder Mavens, and that's the name of our book club.
The elderly women got up from the table. A trio of crones, like Macbeth's witches, fatigue clearly settled into their ancient bones. Their skin shriveled like, Michael, put a note in there to look up something that's shriveled, not prunes, that's pretty cliche. I wondered what sorts of dark things had these women seen. They're getting closer. Hi, sorry, before you say anything else, could you all please look at this waiver and sign it for me? That would be great.
Opal is about to sign it when she sees Kate shaking her head and slowly.
This might be, in fact, a podcast. Is this a podcast, dear?
She's like, well, yes, actually, it is. This is a true crime podcast. Do you know what that is?
We know what true crime is, but we haven't really figured out podcast, but we think it has something to do with radio. Is that right?
Yes. Well, this particular podcast is called, and here out of character, I need to think of a name. This particular podcast is called Blood on the Sand. It's about murders that take place in seaside towns, beach resorts, that sort of thing. I'll have you know, we are currently ranked 463rd in the true crime category. We are on our way up.
You know what you should do? You should bring your guests, your studio guests, or your audience to one of our murder mystery book club meetings. Wouldn't that be pretty cool?
That would be amazing. So I'm Laura Sanchez, and so you are, in fact, the Murder Mavens, then.
That we are, dear, or at least some of them. One of our friends is away at the moment, but yes.
Oh my goodness. And you're English too? This is incredible. Oh my gosh, we can definitely wrap in like the Agatha Christie crowd. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's so good. I love it. This is great. This is so great. Do you all mind if I like maybe just follow you around?
You know what? When is our next meeting?
Oh, let's see. It's every other Wednesday, but not the third of the month. Not the third week. So is that when we do Thursdays instead because of the crochet club? I can't remember.
She says, well, it's an honor to meet you, really. The Murder Mavens are you are just like all the rage in the true crime community right now. Everyone just, what you ladies are doing is just really something.
Well, thank you, dear. It's always, obviously we don't do it for the fame and fortune, but it's always nice to know that your work is appreciated, I suppose.
At this point, Acting Sheriff Brett Anderson comes into the parlor, and he comes in, he sees the three of you, and he sort of waves, he still wears his like kind of bike cop, khakis with the shorts and stuff, even though he's acting sheriff. He even came in on his bike, and because he's got his helmet, and he says, he's talking to the Coles. He's like, is Percy here? And Ava says, Percy's working right now, but I'd be happy to leave a message, Acting Sheriff Anderson. And he says, yeah, just let him know I'm here, and that I've been trying to text him, but I guess maybe the texts aren't going through or something. I'm not sure. And at this point, with everyone assembled, Letitia says, Kate, listen. And she calls you back over, Kate. Listen, the fact of the matter is, I'm not here writing a story about ice cream parlors in the fish market.
What are you writing?
Well, you know, I got a tip recently about something going down here in this town. And I was hoping you might be able to tell me what you know about slam, face on the table. What do you do, Kate?
It seems like Rosemary gets trapped in locked dark places, and Kate gets people strangling. I get the strangled people. I try to help her. Try to help her up, and I call for the sheriff, knowing that that he's got more first aid experience than I do.
He's like, whoa, what's going on? Whoa, what's going on?
My friend appears to be choking, or she's gasping for air, Sheriff.
He's like, and he's looking, he's like, I think she's dead.
Dead? No, that
What
seems
her face is just laying there in a bowl of porridge. So I think she's dead.
I've lain down in porridge before.
I'm going to try to
So-
resuscitate.
No,
Letitia.
she's definitely dead.
Hmm.
He's like, oh, I need to call Sheriff Dalrymple.
Isn't he also dead?
Oh, damn it.
You're the
I need-
sheriff. You're the sheriff, Sheriff Anderson. You got to help us.
He's like, right, okay, right. Don't touch the body. Stop touching the body, Ms. Sutton. Okay, good. All right, everyone, just calm down. Calm down. And Ava, Phoenix, Mrs. Carfax, Laura Sanchez, the businessman, and Abraham Stockton, his eye looking through a tiny sliver open in the curtains. They all stare at poor Letitia. You hear Laura say, OMFG. We are absolutely going to crack the top 200 with this.
I've got to before anything happens. I have to switch my purse with Letitia's. I gotta swap them before.
Oh. Like
before this goes any further.
surreptitiously.
Yep.
I like it. You can do that. I think people are distracted sufficiently in this moment. Deputy Anderson says, okay, I've got this. All right. Everyone who's staying here at Snowdrop House, please go back to your rooms. If you're not staying here at Snowdrop House, please go back to wherever you belong. I will be following up later with some questions, but for now, we need to secure this crime scene. Ava says, Acting Sheriff Anderson, how long do you think the parlor will be out of commission? He says, until we figure out what went wrong, Ms. Cole. So everyone, please disperse and be sure to let, me, I guess, know where you're going to be in the next few hours. Thank you. And with that, everyone is turned loose. What do you all do?
Once we get in the car, I don't know who drove. Who drove? It would probably be Rosemary's van, but she's not here.
Yeah, I don't know, whatever.
If I drove,
Yeah.
I hand I hand my purse, which is actually Letitia's purse, to I guess Millie, and say, quickly go through that, Millie. That's Letitia's purse, and she was just about to tell me something terribly secret when she died, and maybe she has some notes or something in there that before somebody notices that I've got her purse and she's got mine.
Of course, I'll take a look. And yeah, she's just going to begin rifling through the purse.
Go ahead and do the meddling move with
Sure
reason.
thing. Yeah, sure thing.
She told me that her story was all a guise, and she's really working on something else.
That's a 5.
A 5. Huh. There's a truck barreling down the road. In the TV show, we see the Mavens pulling up to an intersection. Kate, somewhat distracted behind the wheel as Millie fumbles around in the purse. This truck barreling down the road. Kate pulls the car through the intersection. It's 4-way stop, but the truck is not slowing down. It's getting closer and closer. It's going to be impact. Opal Lou will die first.
Wait, what?
But we're going to cut to commercial. Millie, or David, really. Your cut to commercial prompt. We did the furniture store before, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Your commercial prompt is going to be Calamity Raccoon's Good Time Pizza Farm, the kids' pizza arcade restaurant. I know they don't have those sorts of things in the UK, so you may have to do some Googling. But, just go with it. And we'll take a regular break as well. Come back in 5. Before we resume, I have updated the mystery section of the character keeper with all of the suspect names and notes. But just as a reminder, we have victim Letitia Dawes, Ava and Phoenix Cole, the owners of the B&B, Mrs. Carfax, longtime resident of the B&B, an unnamed businessman buying up property in town. We have Percy Underwood, who is an employee at Snowdrop House, our podcaster Laura Sanchez, Abraham Stockton, the former owner of the farm, and Acting Sheriff Anderson was in the room when Letitia died. But let's come back from commercial.
Not another sheriff.
Yeah. We're at commercial. Cut to commercial. Take it away, David.
Can I just get a reminder on the name again?
Oh, Calamity Raccoon's Good Time Pizza Farm.
Farm. That's I couldn't remember if it was ranch or farm. Cool. So yeah, I think the advert starts, and it is could not be more obvious that this is the original advert from the 90s that's still being played. It's probably even got that slight fraying around the edges of the screen kind of thing, where the tape's been played so many times. It's this big opening shot of the restaurant / arcade, lots of noise and flashing lights and stuff going on, and an animated raccoon holding sort of comes out of a bin holding a slice of pizza, wearing a big cowboy hat with a sheriff star on it, and says, "Watch out, partner, there's a new sheriff in town. That's right, Calamity Raccoon. Come down to Calamity Raccoon's Good Time Pizza Farm for all your entertainment needs. We have the very latest in arcade technology that all you young kids love." some sort of shots of the various arcade machines in the background. And we've got the rootinest, tootinest, shootinest pizza this side of the Rio Grande. And then there's sort of kind of a final thing. And for all your birthday parties, for every 5 children you bring along, Mom gets a free glass of margarita. And then we kind of get to the sort of final sort of like a big kids party going on with the mother sat there drinking. It's clearly Millie. She's kind of beaming, smiling, drinking, but her eyes are like completely dead as all the kids sort of run around her. And yeah, then sort of cuts out.
Fabulous, thank you. That was worth it just to hear your cowboy accent, David, if I'm being honest. So, good.
It did make me snort. It's a good thing I was muted.
All right, we're back. The truck, boom, just barely skins the skins the nose of your car, Kate, but you're good. You're okay. And Millie, you pull out of the purse a news clipping from 5 years ago. It's a story that Letitia herself broke, and she is the author in this news clipping. The news clipping is about the Coles. It's about Ava and Phoenix Cole and their legal troubles. They used to have a pharmaceutical business, and according to this news clipping, they hid some data about one of their drugs, and they got into a lot of trouble with regulators, and it was a big scandal. That's your clue.
Well, it looks like the Coles may not have voluntarily moved careers. They certainly seem to get into rather a lot of trouble with the FDA a few years back. If there was more to that story than was revealed at the time, that could certainly be a motive for wanting someone out of the picture, I suppose.
Especially if she's the one who broke it.
Could be.
She had to have known they were here. She had to have known, and there must be something bigger at stake. Letitia's written stories like this before that really shake up industries. So there may be more to it than just some missing data for pharmaceutical regulations.
At this point, I'm going to tell you all that you're turned loose to do as you wish. If you're interested in doing the cozy move, I'll read it for you now. When you have an intimate moment with another Maven, while one of you is engaged in your cozy activity, you each get to clear a condition that makes sense in the scene. And if it's your cozy activity, you can also stumble on a clue relevant to the mystery. You actually get to define what the clue is. But these are one-on-one scenes. And so if you want such a scene, you can just request it and frame it up. And that's sort of how that goes. Otherwise, you can continue or begin your investigation as you wish. But I'm going to go around the table at this point and ask what everyone's interested in doing. So, Opal, what do you think?
Well, Opal is letting best. I figured the cat would have been named after the Egyptian god of cats. That seemed pretty in keeping. Is letting best out of a little cat carrier, and is like, well, I suppose should this, we think this could be related to the Coles, it could be worth going back and, just having a little look-see around.
Millie, what do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm definitely up for a cozy scene with someone if someone wants one. It would certainly, from a mechanical perspective, obviously it would make more sense to go for Opal with that. Though at the same time, it feels like maybe a scene with Kate might make sense given the recent events. So
I can do. I've got some things that I need to do for my charity organization, and maybe we could finish our tea and talk about this while I stuff some envelopes with some mailers.
That sounds good. So the two of you can be doing that. And so Opal, what are you going to be doing in the meantime?
Going off into what will likely be terrible danger.
Love it. So where specifically?
Go back to the bed and hop on out, catch a little bus back up to the bed and breakfast. But probably I want to talk to Mr. outside first.
Oh, to Abraham. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We can do that. Let's frame up this. Let's have the cozy scene with Kate and Millie first. So Kate, since it's your cozy activity, you get to frame up the scenes. Just describe what's happening.
So we're in my dining room, and I have lots of boxes. Some of them have envelopes. Some of them have these mailers for an upcoming event. It's probably a Halifax Day festival, and so I'm folding these and putting them in envelopes while I think I asked Millie to like get us some tea, but I'm like mechanically just doing this, stuffing envelopes and talking while I'm stuffing these envelopes.
yeah, and I think Millie will go off and come back with tea for them both, and say, "Are you doing okay, dear? I know that was well, I mean, a shock for everyone, but particularly you." And I think likewise, she sort of starts like again doing that just like on complete autopilot, like helping out with the letters.
This, in the last couple of weeks, I've seen now 3 people murdered, and it seems like things are getting really, really close. It's not like it used to be where we just picked up the pieces from the sheriff. Now things are happening like right in front of our very eyes to people that we know and love.
I know I've certainly seen more people pass than I like, but this is something else. There's something strange about this place. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something out there, I think. I just don't know what it is.
Whatever it is, it's old. And I found this information about one of my ancestors here who was murdered very similarly to how Sheriff Dalrymple was murdered. It's very disconcerting.
Indeed. Indeed, I think it's there must be more here than just random chance that all these people wind up like this. But well, if you do need some time, Kate, then of course don't feel that we expect you to get on with things as if nothing had happened. But if you want to, well, if you think it will help you more, then let's find whoever did this and well, give them a jolly good kick up the arse.
That I think is that's what I would like to do. I would like to get some resolution for Letitia, and if we can find out what she was working on, finish it. And if not, we continue our own work, but in her honor.
I love it. I think we made a good case for clearing your shocked condition, Kate, because you're sort of like grounded and centered now and with purpose. Millie, what do you think about I Like You? Do you feel like you've cleared that?
I'd argue maybe the kind of the focus of like kind of setting yourself a task might have
I think that's probably right. Yeah.
yeah.
I agree. And because it's your cozy activity, Kate, you get the bonus, which means you get to define a clue. You stumble on a clue in the scene about the murder. So be thinking about what that is, and we'll come back to it in a bit. Check in with Opal. Well, Opal, you step outside of your home, presumably to take the bus back to Snowdrop House. When you see...
got a little cat carrier, like a briefcase with mast peeking out.
I love it. There is, when you see an old beat up pickup truck parked in front of your walkway.
Hello? Someone?
It's Abraham Stockton. He's there. And he says, "Let me guess. You're going to go back to Snowdrop House to try to connect the dots. Find the last piece of the puzzle."
I'm just... I just want to make sure my friend gets closure. That
Well,
was
hop
a good
on in.
friend of hers.
And he kicks open the passenger door.
Okay. Opal hops in, clutching the cat carrier very tightly.
He says, "That's a mighty fine feline specimen you have there, Ms. Lou."
Yes, I got I put in a genetics test for her, and I was told that she is 110% pure breed. They've never seen that before.
Opal. Can I call you Opal?
Yeah, of course.
Opal. I regret to inform you that you're going to be exposed to some very, very dark things in the next 24 hours. Some troubling history. Some might even say something evil in the land is going to be leached up from the soil. Consider this a warning, Opal. Do you wish to willingly go into that dark place?
No. If it'll help my friend and help keep people safe, yeah.
Then close the door and let this dark journey begin. And he turns on his moment is ruined. His moment is ruined a little bit because the starter was kind of messed up on the truck. So he has to make several attempts to get the truck started. But once he does, you rumble out of there.
Out of curiosity, just so I know what sort of dark things to avoid, you wouldn't happen to have any more information on the terrible darkness that may beset upon us from the soil?
He's kind of ignoring your question as he drives slowly through across the boardwalk, kind of the touristy part of town. He's kind of idling, like really slowly. And he says, "This used to be an honest town back before all these folks started coming in from out of state. But these days," and then he just hawks and spits out the window, and it like hits like a 10-year-old, just and they're like, ah. It keeps going. And those coals, Well, just because someone lets 20 or 30 years of property taxes go unpaid doesn't mean they should lose their land.
Honestly,
Doesn't mean some city slickers should swoop down in and snatch up the property from its rightful owner, from the family who's owned it since the Deep Reaver.
the Deep Reaver?
The Deep Reaver. Opal, I didn't expect you to understand that at all because you're not from around here. But I'm original Brindlewood Bay. My folks go way back. It was a Henry Stockton. Henry Stockton was a cabin boy on the Deep Reaver.
The Deep Reaver.
The Deep Reaver. Yes. The Deep Reaver. In the summer of 1877, the crew of the whaler Deep Reaver set out from Brindlewood Bay, Opal, and they returned with the strangest whale anyone had ever seen. It had tentacle-like legs and rows of oily black eyes. They cut it up, as whalers were wont to do, and they sold its parts all over the world. And the proceeds were used to turn Brindlewood Bay into what it is today.
And they were sure it's a whale?
Opal,
Uh-huh.
there are mysteries in the deep ocean. Mysteries that we are not meant to know about. Fathomless. Incomprehensible. The stars below, black as night.
I've never been much one for fathoming the unfathomable.
Henry Stockton said he would never, ever go near the ocean again, but unfortunately, he didn't possess the financial wherewithal to move far from Brindlewood Bay, and so we just moved away from the coast and built the farm on the outskirts of town. That was going to have to do. We are a land-based family, but we always have our eye on the ocean.
On the ocean. All right, eye on the ocean. Seen anything on the too distant to touch and drown in water? Anything raising your
There'll be time for questions soon enough,
hackles?
Opal.
All right, yep, sure, gotcha. No
And the
problem.
truck continues on, rumbling out of town towards Stockton Farm, or towards Snowdrop House, nay, Stockton Farm. Meanwhile, Kate, what clue did you stumble on?
It's very odd, Millie, but it didn't seem odd at the time. But Letitia told me when she invited me to the Snowdrop House for tea, she said for me not to let anyone know that we were going to be there, and I assumed it was because she didn't want them to put on airs for her story, but now it seems more sinister for us to not let anyone know that Letitia was coming to visit.
Wait,
Indeed.
Sorry, so what was the clue again?
Warning not to tell about going to Snowdrop. Not to give away that they were coming.
Oh, to give away that Letitia was coming or that you were coming?
Right. Letitia specifically.
So Letitia warned you to keep it secret, just not mention it to anyone.
Yeah, good.
Right. So I didn't tell you guys until like the last minute. Oh, hey, come with us. Meet my friend Letitia. We're going to go to Snowdrop.
Well, so this is a good clue, and the two of you are there now. And so what do you do?
Well,
It's getting to be late in the day, probably like, maybe an hour or so before sundown.
shall we head back this evening to take another look around the place, or shall we return in the morning when Sheriff Anderson has had the chance to conduct his investigations?
Let's go back now, and I can use the purse as an excuse to. I'm going to take that article out. We should take the article out, but let's use the guise of returning the purse and just go straight back in.
Sounds like a plan.
Indeed, indeed. Opal, Abraham Stockton, does not pull up to the farmhouse of Stockton Farm. He keeps taking the road and wraps around to another part of the property.
Ooh.
Through a wood.
Oh my.
On the other side of the woods. It's very dark in the woods because the sun is getting low in the sky. But the road lets out to the side of a hillock. And in the hillock,
Look.
there is a cave mouth. And he says, "Do you know what that is, Opal?"
That
is a cave.
in a hillock.
That is a cave where
Uh-huh.
the crew of the Deep Reaver,
Uh-huh.
drunk with sorrow and terror, used to go. There in the darkness, they would soothe one another. They would let their sea shanties, their roughened hands, be a balm for the terror and the darkness that had stained their souls on that fateful voyage.
I'm not one to judge people's proclivities.
Answers can be found in there, Opal. I have a feeling that your friend's friend may have been looking for some answers as well.
Well, I appreciate how considerate you're being.
He reaches across your lap and opens the door for you and says, "I'll wait here for you."
All right. If you hear my terrified screams,
I'll know that things are as they have always been.
I was going to say, just wait for Best to come on out. Or
Who is best?
just sort of like points to the cat.
Oh. Right.
A good cat apparently has an unfortunate history with owners being murdered.
These are dark times, Opal. Dark times.
Yes. And judging by the lack of lighting in that cave, I have a feeling it's about to get darker.
Go on now. Dark
Hops on
skein
out.
of fate awaits you.
Opal hops on out and is like, "Hey, hang on, just before caves can get kind of chilly, I'm gonna pop on another cardigan."
Indeed. Do you go into the cave?
Yeah. Opal walks into the cave. Bast has made her much more courageous.
Good. So Kate and Millie, you get back to Snowdrop House and things are sort of returning back to normal. You can see lights coming from inside the parlor. And so what do you do?
Is the sheriff's bike still here?
It is, yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna take the purse in, Millie, and you can either come with me or maybe explore the area. What do you think?
Yes, I'll take a I'll take a look around I'll take a look around outside, see what I can find out here.
I'm afraid that Letitia was poisoned. So if anybody offers you food, do not take it. That Percy, keep an eye on him.
He seems such a sweet boy, but yes, you're right. He could well be our killer here. Never pays to underestimate anyone in this business.
Millie, you hear some singing coming from round back Snowdrop House. A young man's singing. In dreams, you sang to me. Da 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 da. I am the mask you wear.
Yeah.
The Phantom of the Opera is there. What do you do?
Yeah, I think Millie's going to make a beeline for the singing.
You see Percy Underwood wearing old gardening overalls, doing a little bit of dusk gardening, and he's there digging some holes in the back of the little garden with his little gardening shovel thing. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm going to sort of walk up and so yeah, that was rather good, dear. You've
He's like, oh, Miss Ross, hello.
Hello, yes. We're poor dear Kate left her purse behind in all the hubbub. We just came back to get it, but no, you're a veritable siren.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from someone like you. I mean, I too would like to be in the theater someday, or the theater.
Indeed, you certainly seem to have the old quick change routine down to a fine art.
Well, let's just say you can never be too prepared, you know? You know what I like to say? I don't get ready, I stay ready.
Oh, that's very good.
Profound, huh?
And maybe more. I don't. No, that's it. I don't get ready. I stay ready. Try it back for me again, please.
He's like, he does the thing where he like goes, I don't get ready. I stay ready.
Yes, lovely.
Except I do need to get ready here in a bit. My shift's almost over. And you can see that his phone is blowing up right now. Lots of illuminated screen, like someone's trying to message him, and he keeps ignoring it. What do you do?
I think I'm going to say, oh, you seem to have a few messages there, dear.
Yeah, there's a, let's just say Miss Ross, you probably can speak on this better than anyone else in town. What do you do when you have a passionate admirer who just won't get the message?
Oh, it's rather difficult. I mean, sometimes the best thing to do is, just to be frank and honest and open with them, and make them understand and try and be empathetic towards them. Otherwise, I find putting a large body of water between you and them is a very effective strategy.
It's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I've just got this situation, this person who is just won't leave me alone. He's well, let's just say he is he's just kind of he's kind of boring. He's not very smart. He's in law enforcement.
Oh,
But he's really, really good in bed.
I can imagine. He's certainly.
I'm conflicted,
Yes, and I presume he's looking for more than just the occasional dalliance.
Yeah, that's exactly the right way to put it. I'm okay with the occasional dalliance. I'm a big, big dalliancer.
You've yes, you've certainly got the build for it.
He is very good looking. He is I would say he's almost like, even in his sort of gardener chic right now, he has a very pretty, delicate, beauty to him. He says, so be honest with me. Are you and Miss Sutton really here getting a purse together, or is this more Murder Mavens business?
Well, I think I can be honest with you, dear. Yes, we're here to see if we can dig up anything more.
Hold that thought. He turns and he runs back into the back of the Snowdrop house, leaving you there. Meanwhile, Kate, you go in. Ava is at the front when you walk in. Mrs. Carfax is now moved to a wingback chair in the lobby with a little table with her checkers set up. And there are a couple of people in the parlor as well. Acting Sheriff Anderson is in the parlor, sitting there. I think he's just there having a drink and a piece of cake at the moment. The body is he's getting off the phone. He says, "Okay, thanks, Etienne. Thanks. Just the freezer will be fine. We'll come. We'll get it later." Or wait, no, did Etienne go to jail? I can't remember. No, Etienne wasn't part of it. That's right. He's like, "Okay, good. Yeah, I know. We need a morgue. I know. Trust me. Yeah." And he hangs up the phone. Anyway, what do you do, Kate?
I go over to the sheriff and acting sheriff and say, "Sheriff Anderson, in our haste of leaving as you instructed, I got the wrong purse. I've got Letitia's purse and she's got mine, or mine should be over here somewhere."
He's like, "Wait, what? That's not her purse?"
No, they look very similar, but this was clearly her purse, not mine.
I've built up a whole case that Letitia was here investigating a charity fundraising scheme here in town, and that they got wind of it, of their criminal activity, and then they had her killed.
No, you may find more clues in here. I just know this is her purse, not mine. There may be some clues in here for you to peruse.
He's like, good. Thank you. Good. Thank you for bringing that back. You're a good citizen, Miss Sutton.
We're actually.
Have you seen Percy Underwood,
the
employee?
I think he works here though.
Well,
But Sheriff, you have to know that Sheriff Dalrymple came to the Murder Mavens many times to help, and I think it would be wrong if we denied you that help. So if there's anything that we can do to help, you just point us in the right direction.
The acting sheriff, clearly out of his depth, smiled, realizing that his elderly savior had arrived. Laura Sanchez is in the parlor. Will she take the case? Will she be able to figure out what happened to Michael, insert name of victim here. I didn't actually get it. Thank you. Will she discover the truth? The rotten heart of the town of Brindlewood Bay. Will she be able to uncover it? Anderson says, that would be great, Ms. Sutton. Thank you.
Then what Sheriff Dalrymple would do is he would invite us to like check out, in this case, the kitchen.
He's like, right, yeah. Okay. I've been in there a few times, repeatedly tonight. But yeah, if you want to go take a look in there, I think that'd be great.
It's what Sheriff Dalrymple would have wanted.
Yeah. Poor Sheriff Dalrymple. It's horrible what happened to him.
Again, he did commit 2 murders, right? We're
He
all
did, yeah. He did indeed. Meanwhile, Opal. Opal, are you there? Yeah, there you are. Opal.
Yeah. Saying Dalrymple committed 2 murders.
He
yes.
did indeed. Yes, he did.
Yeah. All right. All right.
Uh,
I have a feeling it's just the whole department.
these caves. It's a labyrinthine system of caves. While they are natural caves, they do show some signs of work. I paint the scene question for everyone. What in these dark caves shows they have been used by people in the recent or distant past, and for what purposes?
Can you repeat the question one more time? You blipped for a second.
What in these dark caves shows they
Okay.
have been used by people in the recent or distant past, and for what purposes?
I think that there is there are some whiskey bottles that would be vintage, if not for the fact that they are completely empty, some of them shattered, very clearly consumed in a raucous manner, and they show the age that Abraham was talking about.
Actually fits in quite nicely with what I was thinking, because I think that there are kind of these there have been some like steps cut down into the path down into the cave, but half of the sort of, or maybe one half of the sort of the passage down has been left. It looks unworked, but the stone's been kind of sort of flattened out, as if someone had rolled heavy barrels down into this cave on more than one occasion. So maybe some sort of smuggling operation or the like.
And I'm going to say those bottles were not shattered, but shot, where somebody had placed a bunch of the bottles up on a rock, and so Opal can see like old shotgun shells and bullet casings where somebody was doing target practice.
Now, how recent was that target practice?
Indeed, indeed. You get a little ways into the cave, and you hear calling back to you from the entrance of the cave. Abraham says, "Be brave, Opal."
Working on it. Opal has Opal on her phone has one of those old flashlight apps. Like, if you remember in the early days of smartphones when a flashlight app was just, it makes your screen bright
Brighter,
white,
yeah.
and then you just point it at things. Yeah. Her phone fully has a built-in flashlight. She's just unaware of that fact.
He's still hollering at you from the entrance. He says, They say there used to be creatures down there. Monsters crawled up from the earth.
Those monsters wouldn't happen to be responding to noise, say loud yelling.
I'm sure it's nothing to be concerned about, Opal. Those are just old wives' tales.
Are you sure?
Of course, old wives' tales always have a kernel of truth in them. That's what makes them have staying power.
I'm going to start looking around, trying to see if I can find this kernel of truth, hopefully without being consumed by a terrible monster.
If you hear something
Uh-huh.
slithering in the dark, chittering in the dark,
Uh-huh.
clattering in the dark,
Of course.
rolling around in the dark,
Naturally.
stomping in the dark,
Are you sure you're not just describing your ancestors and the comforts?
sliding around in the dark.
This is continuing to my question still stands.
Just know that it's probably nothing.
Sure, that's where I expected that to end. Uh, I certainly. Oh, oh dear. Yeah. Opal's going to just start searching as quickly
I would
as
like the night
possible.
move. It's always the night move in the cave. I would like the night
Always the-
move because the night move says when you face something you fear. And so my question for you is, what are you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve right now?
I'm gonna encounter a terrible monster.
It is worse than that. The terrible monster will rend you into pieces. If you wish to continue searching in the dark, you can roll with composure, please. And actually, you're unnerved as well. So roll with disadvantage also.
Oh no.
That's 3 dice and take the 2 lowest.
Not disadvantage. If I have Bast help me, it just sort of like curl up against me, give me
I like that.
strength,
Yeah.
and
That'll
I
even it
neutralize.
out. You can just roll 2 dice. Yeah. Roll 2 dice like normal.
Where's my little? All right. That's an 8.
You manage to keep your nerves. Bast is surprisingly a rock in this situation. They have seen several of their owners get killed, and so they just are sort of begin to expect it, I think. But nevertheless, you interpret their stoic expectation as strength and bravery radiating into you, and you hear something deeper in the cave approaching you. Footsteps in the dark. What do you do?
Opal backs away and slips into another cardigan in the vain hope that it'll pad any blows she may take.
It is the businessman. He steps into the light of your phone. He has a proper cell phone flashlight. And he says, "Oh, what are you doing in here? Who are you?"
I could ask you much the same question. I'm Opal Lou. I am spelunking.
He's like, you have a lot of natural sort of flavor to you, Opal Lou. You look like you belong in this town.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually a more recent transplant, but I like to think that I've ingratiated myself with the community well. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, Damien Swallows.
Damien Swallows. All right. What brings you down to this cave in a hillock.
Oh, you know, just seeing how much trouble it'd be to dynamite the place, clear cut the land a little bit.
Are you a professional dynamiteer?
I'm a developer, just here in town looking for opportunities, looking for, you know, choice morsels of land.
These morsels of land, right? Were you behind the acquisition of this morsel of land?
Make the meddling move with probably presence.
Bada bing. Bada. Uh. Okay. Question. This may be slightly too abstract for you, but one of my cozy little place things is keys to the town archive.
Okay.
I was wondering if I could justify connecting, since it seems like it feels like there's a little bit of things that I've done. Like the other two did a bunch of flyers and are now back here. And I just went home and then came back. So it feels, but we're at about the same point in time.
Yeah, roughly.
So it seems like could I say that use my key to the town archive to say in that gap of time, I sort of poked around a little about like the deal with the land here.
Oh yeah,
to
sure. I'll
gain
take
advantage
that.
on the scroll.
Yeah, just mark it and you can roll with advantage. That's fine. Yeah.
Presence is not my strongest point. All right, 7, up from a 6.
All right, we'll come back to that. Millie, Percy returns wearing a like a Sherlock Holmes getup, you know, with a little like deer hunting hat thing and the little cloak, you know, tweed. And he comes out and he's got a magnifying glass that he puts up to his eye. And he says, "Maybe I can be of assistance, madam."
Maybe you can, dear. I'd quite like to have a little look around at what's being grown in this little garden.
He's like, "Oh, you know, hemlock, wolfsbane, nightshade, all manner of." I'm just kidding. It's just like tomatoes and carrots and things.
Well, let's take a look, shall we? And see if something a little more exciting has got into the mix.
Indeed, yeah. He said, he's like, hey, you go ahead and roll with a meddling move with reasons. That's fine.
Sure. That is a 9.
There is some nightshade in the garden.
Just a little bit.
What do you do when you find it?
I'll say, interesting. It appears your little joke hit close to the mark, young Percy. And
he holds the magnifying glass up to the leaf. He's like, "What did you find?"
It is indeed nightshade. Same, actually, interesting fact, same family as the tomato, which is why it blends in so well here. But this will be slightly less pleasant to have in a nice caprese salad.
Indeed. I owe you a complication on I think the complication might just be that, like, another complication. Ava says she's there. She appears. She says, "I'm very sorry, but if you don't have a reason to be here in an official capacity, if you don't have a warrant or some other documentation that says you should be here, I'm going to have to ask you to leave now."
Oh, awfully sorry. I was just taking a peek around the garden with young Percy here. I do so love a nice vegetable garden. And will say, but I suppose if this is off limits, then obviously I don't want to cause you any inconvenience, my dear.
Take the condition marked by Eva Cole.
Sure thing.
Meanwhile, Kate, you're in the kitchen. What do you do?
Looking quickly to see if there's anything maybe that the sheriff missed. It might be like something labeled something, but it's actually something else, or basically just looking for hidden poison ingredients.
Like, are you going through cabinets, going through the refrigerator? What specifically?
Oh yeah. Wherever there's the ingredients that I guess Percy would have used to cook, I'm going through the
Good. Make the meddling move with reason.
Not good. One 6 with reason.
You open the refrigerator door and you see in the refrigerator stacks of brown paper packages stacked in the refrigerator. They look like they could be cuts of meat, but maybe there's something else. Who knows? But in any case, someone kicks the refrigerator door closed from behind you. And then gloved hands grab you from behind. They're holding a chloroform-soaked rag, and you pass out. Let's take a 5-minute break. Opal, remind me, what sort of information were you going to try to get from him?
I was trying to figure out his. Yeah, I was at the question that I asked him was like, were you involved in the acquisition of this land?
Right, yeah. And you had kind of done some research beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good. He says, no, actually I wasn't. But I heard that Ava Cole's a real savvy operator. Well, I know she is. Well, it's no accident that I'm staying here at Snowdrop House while I'm in town. Ava and I, we have a bit of a history together, say. Bit of business and pleasure, if you get my meaning.
Heated rivalry, if you will.
He says, no, nothing like that, though it was certainly heated. He says, what are you doing here anyway?
I was just, when you see an interesting cave in a hillock, sometimes it just calls to you.
He's like, I think I know what you mean.
It's part of that small town lifestyle.
And here's your clue. He's actually holding something. And you realize now, as he steps out of the shadow, he's holding what appears to be like a metal box encrusted with dirt. Like a metal, like a small, like metal, like storage chest size of a bread box.
Oh my!
And it pops open,
Oh,
and papers fall spread all over the ground. And it appears to be old land deeds, like really old land deeds for various spots in town. And he's like, "Oh, excuse me." Here, he gets down. He begins like gathering them up.
Oh, wow.
That's your clue, though.
Yeah, so good of you to salvage that from the cave.
He's like, "Oh, just you never know what you can find when you're roaming around these old places looking for whether you could, clear cut the land. You always run into things like this."
Yeah, my friend at the historical society would actually love to see that.
Oh, you'll have to give me their name and number sometime soon. And he closes the metal box, and he's like going past you.
It's like I'm walking with him. Don't worry, I'm sure we'll run into her very soon. Just
He's like,
pleasant smile.
And your complication, when you get out to the truck, you see Abraham Stockton hanging out the side, the partially open door, his throat cut, bled out on the ground like a pig.
Ah, gee.
How do you feel?
Numb.
Take numb as a condition. Millie, you cannot find Kate anywhere. You've been looking around. You don't know where she got off to. You lost track of Percy and Ava Cole as well. And now you're just in the front lobby. And Phoenix says, actually, no, not Phoenix. Mrs. Carfax, who's there, she says, "Are you okay, dear?"
Yes, no, quite all right. Thank you. Thank you. I've just seemed to have misplaced my friend.
She's like, "Oh, well, I know how that goes. I misplace things all the time. When you're my age, you learn to just tie it to your hand." And then she like raises up her hand, and it's got like a bangle with like her keys and ID card and various other things.
Well, should I be so blessed with years, I will endeavor to remember your advice.
Can I challenge you to a game of checkers?
I suppose so. It's I'm not going to do much good just herring around this place looking for dear Kate.
She's splendid. Sit. She is very elderly, frail, layers of moth-eaten knitting. You know her. She's been in Brindlewood Bay for as long as anyone can remember. And she used to live on Stockton Farm. She had a room here. And now she lives in Snowdrop House. She has a room here. And she's setting up the board. And she says, "People think that checkers is just a child's game, that there's no strategy to it. But I beg to differ."
I certainly haven't played in some time
It
since.
is not just a tactical exercise. There is a deeper strategy to checkers.
Well, perhaps I shall be able to pick up some tips.
Making moves. You're making moves. She says, "So what are you doing here so late at night, dear?" And for her, it's late at night, even though it's only like 6.
Yeah. Well, my friend, one I have misplaced, in turn misplaced her purse when we were here earlier, so we'd come to retrieve it. I just had a little walk in the garden whilst waiting.
King me.
I will indeed king her.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Kate, you wake up. Your hands are bound behind your back. You are tied to a post in the middle of what appears to be a fenced-in area, like for animals. And there's a shadowy figure circling the perimeter of the fence. It's dark now. In fact, the sun has just gone down. And this figure is singing. It's a man's voice. I don't care if the sun don't shine. I get my lovin' in the evening time when I'm with my baby. And you now see that there are large pigs gathering at the gate of the fence. Big, massive hogs and sows. It don't matter if the sun's around, 'cause I get going when the sun goes down, when I'm with my baby. And they move closer to the pigs and the gate. That's when we kiss and kiss and kiss, and then we kiss some more. Don't matter how often we kiss, because at a time like this, who keeps score? And he opens the gate, and the pigs flood into the open area. They're going to devour you. What do you do?
I would like to use 2 crowns.
This could be a Gold Crown Mysteries move if you all can come up with an idea.
I was definitely thinking this felt like Gold Crown territory. Yeah.
What do you think? Who has an idea for a book?
You have one, David?
Ooh.
Something's out of reach connecting sow and sow, like sowing discord or something. But
It's a big controversy because they're spelled the same. So the fan base argues about whether it's sowing discord or sowing discord.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
I quite like that. Yeah, I like the the one that did just the other one that did just come to wine was Amanda Delacourt and the Case of Swine and Roses. But I think
that's pretty good too.
I quite like the sewing one.
Well,
Maybe there's a chapter called Swine and Roses.
yeah. Okay, so what was the situation that Amanda found herself in?
I like that. What's Amanda Delacourt's like background when she was a child, when she was younger?
It's not really established. You can say.
Well, I was going to say that she grew up on a farm, and Kate is from like rural Pennsylvania. So Amanda Delacourt grew up on a farm, and so she knew how to do like a pig call that confused the hogs, and so they associated her with someone who feeds pigs instead of someone who gets eaten by pigs.
Very good. So you're going to do a pig call to like to swear these pigs off you. Good. I love it. We're going to wrap up a little early today, but we will end with the shadowy figure singing a song as the pigs fill the space. That's when we kiss and kiss and kiss, and then we kiss some more. And that's where our to be continued will be at. Let's go to the end of session. You have not solved a mystery, so no one's getting that. But Millie, did you show someone that you've still got it?
I don't think so specifically.
I think with Percy, when you were giving Percy tips on how to deliver his lines.
Oh, I was actually thinking that might be the third one. Did you share your wisdom with a young person?
Yeah, that's it. I
Probably,
think
yeah.
I think if I hadn't also selected that one, maybe. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that definitely feels more like the second question. Third question.
Kate, did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official?
I try to always do that. So I think when I
Yeah.
was basically telling the interim sheriff how to do his job.
I agree. Yeah, you get that one. Did you share your wisdom with a young person?
No.
Opal,
Mhm.
did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official?
I'd say if I went off investigating like the history of the land to try and solve the murder while the detective was walking back and forth between the kitchen and the dining room, that could qualify.
I tend to agree. Did you behave like a woman half your age?
I went into a dark cave with nothing but a
That's true.
bright phone screen and a cat.
Yeah, I'll take those. Okay. And so let's go to stars and wishes. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
I got a few stars for Opal's conversations with both the Abraham truck ride, and then with the businessman in the cave. Down a Mateer, I wrote that down. And then David putting Millie in the Calamity Raccoon commercials. That was awesome. Yeah, and then Abraham. Those are my top three.
I'll be honest, I was also going to say Millie being in the commercial with just dead eyes. I got a good nose flare and snort like one of the hogs that's about to devour one of our poor mavens whole. Also for just Abraham's whole deal, just very clearly just like ominous and dramatic, and also kind of sputteringly incompetent just a little bit at every turn. And then also I'm a big fan of the whatchamacallit. Sorry, brain a little fried. One second. Pardon one moment. Sorry, my grandmother popped in for a moment.
It's okay.
Yeah, I really enjoy how Kate keeps tying the historical aspects of her work back into our mysteries.
Yeah, I had a really good time. I anticipated this is going to be a two-part mystery. It's higher complexity, but also it has this sort of roaming quality, I think, that makes it kind of a longer, more involved mystery. I thought the cozy scene was really good. I really enjoyed that little conversation between Millie and Kate a lot. And I also I had a lot of fun role playing Abraham with Opal. That was really, really good fun. Yeah, and I was happy that we had this like sort of like danger moment, you know. It was very like this danger moment with a mysterious madman singing Broadway show tunes to Kate. Felt really fun. It was good. And stars to the mystery. David, I love this mystery. It's really, really fun. It's great, very enjoyable. Always have a good time with it. So yeah.
I do like seeing Percy from the Society Obscura. I like seeing him.
Well, so actually, Periwinkle from Society Obscura was inspired by this character in Long.
Oh, it's the other way around.
Yeah,
okay,
it's the other way around. Yeah. But it's the same idea, though. Yeah, they're definitely relations. Percival is his ancestor for sure, or Periwinkle.
Yeah, no. Again, loads of stars from me. Kind of a reciprocal star there, Jason. For it's really good fun to get a chance to play something that I've written is awesome. So thank you for that. I've both obviously written it, but and I've run it before, but yeah, I've never had the chance to play it. So that's been a lot of fun. I think again a star sort of going off what was mentioned about the way that kind of Kate ties a lot of stuff into the history of both her personal history and the history of the town and all that stuff is all really cool. And I think Kate feels as well like possibly the most grounded of all the characters, and I think that's a really neat element to have to the game as well. So I think that's really cool. It was fun having that cozy scene and a really interesting clue out of it as well. That was awesome. And then obviously the pig call at the end there was really awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out next time. Likewise, Opal. I think just the that dual thing of both being really willing to throw Opal into danger, whilst it's also obvious that Opal herself is regretting it every step of the way. It's a really nice, it's a really cool way of playing it. So I think that was a whole lot of fun. Just that kind of playing that timidity really well without her coming across as weak kind of thing and stuff. I think that's really awesome. Jason, I think again a lot of fun seeing in all of the characters and some really good dramatic cuts and sudden danger moments and stuff as well. I guess kind of a start to the Winds of Chance. I like how the fact that we managed to get like a big cliffhanger moment before each of our breaks today was very the dice were helping out there, I think. There was one other, like you said as well, I think it was nice. Kind of in contrast to what I said before, because it's nice to have a change, but I like the fact that this did feel a lot more slow paced this time, and it was nice I've enjoyed, like I said, that we've managed to get through the first two quite at quite a rapid pace, but it was nice then to be able to ratchet that back a bit this time and take our time with it. In terms of obviously it'd be I hope it would be great if we have Daniel back again next time. My other thing to that, which is not exactly a wish, but just as more of a heads up, next week I'll be around, but on Wednesday night essentially I've got to work overnight, so if I am not compos mentis the next day, I may have to I may not be able to make it. I should be okay, but just as a kind of advance one, if I randomly don't show up, then it's probably because I'm asleep, but hopefully I'll be back up and about by then.
I wish. I hope we get to see some Crowns of the Queen next week. I think that'll be fun. I'll be curious to see how we work Rosemary back into the mystery. I think that'll be, but we have several avenues we can do it in, so I feel pretty good about that. And I know Daniel watches the videos, so they'll be caught up. There are several interesting plot threads going on here, like Abraham's murder, someone kidnapping Kate, and of course the core murder of Letitia. So I just be kind of curious to see how that stuff all wraps up and what's part of the Letitia mystery and what's part of the midwives mystery, because you're one void clue away from the next threshold in the dark conspiracy. So I'll be curious if that reveals itself as well. Any other stars or wishes?
A wish for me is though Opal is very much so relying on Kate to acquire those deeds, Opal sort of does have a soft spot for this town that's adopted her and doesn't want this guy to make off with all these land deeds, but also she's not going to be like, give him, give him here.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other stars or wishes? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop this.